Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Knitting Traditions podcast. My name is Inga and this is a podcast about knitting. You can find me on Instagram as Knitting Traditions and Ravelry as Knitting Tradition. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. A new setup, trying to get a bit better natural daylight, and also new hair, new jacket, lots of new things to show you today. I'm coming to you from the west coast of Norway, and today I'm going to talk a lot about what I've cast on, cast off, and some more acquisitions, if that's allowed. But I'll put the acquisitions at the end. And also today I'm going to talk about these slippers that I made the last time. It's a free Norwegian pattern, so I'm going to do a quick translation on how to knit these if anyone wants to make them. So, first of all, I am wearing another forever piece. Last episode I had finished the cabled sweater and I was on a roll and I just wanted to finish this cardigan, which I have been knitting on since November, I think. This is a Marie Wallin design. I've wanted to knit this for several years. It's called Chestnut, and it's from the book by Marie Wallin, which is called Wild Wood, and it has tons of gorgeous designs. I bought a yarn kit for this sweater in particular, or this jacket, because this is the one that I've been wanting to make for forever. I just love the color combinations. So you can see here I made the exact same cardigan. I made the third size. I don't know if she calls it medium. I intended it to be a bit baggy. Medium. I intended it to be a bit large on me so that I could easily just throw it on. However, it fits, but it just fits. There is no it's like zero ease on the arms, and I did want it to be bigger. On the body, it's bigger. I think this is, I did gauge, I did do a swatch to find the gauge, and I had to actually go down in needle size to get gauge, but probably my gauge changed throughout. I think there is a big difference between swatching back and forth. If you're knitting in the round, if you want to knit something in the round, you should swatch in the round, because there will be a difference. This cardigan is supposed to be knit in pieces, so you would knit and then you would purl. There's only ever 2 colors at a time, but for me, purling in color work, it's just, I don't like it. It takes a lot longer, it's fiddly, and I didn't want to do it. So I tried to modify this to be knit in the round, and I knit the body in the round, and then I put stitches in here. I talk about this in previous videos. If you go back and you look at one of the videos where I hold up this, and also another even earlier episode, I talk about it. But I had some extra stitches in the middle. You can see them here almost. And I also did the same for the armholes, that I put in extra stitches so that I could knit the whole thing back and forth, except for just the top piece here. Because even at the neckline here, I did knit back and forth, and I just cut it and sewed it down afterwards. That was a mistake at my part, but it worked out fine in the end. I did buy this band that I was gonna sew on the inside over the lining, like so. However, I opted against sewing the steek with the machine, because that was my initial plan. But then I heard about felting it, and there was a lot of comments, positive and negative, about felting it. But I wanted to try it. So I found this felting needle kit at a random store from Panduro, I think, panduro.com. And it came with a felting cushion and some needles. And I used that to just stab the edge, the garter, or the extra stitches here, up here, and at the neck, at the armholes. However, this cushion, or what you call it, kind of got useless after a little bit. It got too soft, and it wasn't very good, but I forced myself through, even though it was a bit fiddly, and I stabbed myself a few times. Not recommended. Don't stab yourself. They're quite sharp, these needles. And these felting needles, they're not the same as normal needles. They have little, I don't know if you could see that. It has little, no, that doesn't make it any better. It has little pores that kind of snag on the fiber, and it felts it down. And after doing that, it was no problem cutting the fabric. There is no escaped stitches, and I sewed it down on the inside, and I felt like I didn't need the extra security from this. And also I liked the way how, even though it's sewed down on the inside, it's exactly the same color, so it's not really visible and you don't have too much extra bulk. My row gauge, in this way, not, you have the gauge, this how many stitches, but then you also have a row gauge. My row gauge was off, probably because I knit in the round, and that makes it more dense than if you were to knit back and forth. So I had to do some extra repeats of the pattern compared to the original one. So I did run out of the brown color, but thanks to a lovely lady, I got an extra skein and I was able to finish it. And I really like the detail of the cuffs, how they do purling in the contrast color. The arms are bracelet length. I was considering maybe cutting this off and knitting it this way to make it longer, but I actually like the length. I find it doesn't get in the way, so I can wear it and wash my hands and do things without worrying about getting it wet or dirty. So I'm gonna keep it as is. I think it's beautiful. It's really nice and warm, and I sewed on little wooden buttons on the button band, and the holes are small, so it fits perfectly. So it's a nice layering piece. It's gonna be a nice jacket for the summer, and yeah, it's just really nice and warm. The yarn that I used is Marie Wallin's own yarn, I think. I'll see if I have a... Yeah, okay, it's called British Breeds. It's called British Breeds, and it's Marie Wallin's own wool, and they come in 25 gram skeins, and it's a fine blend of wool that is spun in Devon from Blueface, Leicester, Exmoor, Wensleydale, and Zwartbliss sheep breeds. I probably butchered that name, but yeah. And yeah, it uses quite a lot of different colors, as you can see, but only ever 2 colors at a time. I would not recommend turning one of her garments into a knitted in the round if you're a beginner knitter. It was a bit difficult to wrap my head around how to do everything, not having done it before. But if you have some experience with steeking and colorwork, go ahead. And I think she also has some patterns, not this one, but some other patterns that are knit in the round. So that will probably be a nice pattern to choose. I also have a different book from her, and at one point I will probably make a sweater or something. But for now I am happy with this piece. It's not a very affordable one because there's a lot of different colors and they're not the cheapest wool, but it's a lovely yarn. So I'm really happy with this, and I'm gonna take good care of it, so hopefully I can use it forever, basically. Alright, so that was my forever fairisle project that I kept in this lovely bag that I bought at a market in Tanzania. So now I can put those leftovers into a scrap basket that I have for a future scrappy project, and I can put something else into this basket. I'm going on vacation in a week's time. I'm working as a doctor in OB/GYN. I just started in March, and it's a lot to learn. I'm really looking forward to a vacation though, some time at the cabin that I got to. I'm gonna make a terrace outside. I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna remove a window, put in a door, and paint the outside, and spend the rest of my holiday knitting. So I have more projects to show you. So find yourself something to drink, and let's get started. I am drinking one of those Nescafe's instant coffees with the almond milk. I think it's delicious. And I'm drinking it out of this cute ceramic miso bowl that I got in Tokyo. I just think it's really cute. And it stands on like a wooden tray, which is nice because it's really warm. I just got home from a 26-hour shift, so I need some coffee. Alright, other finished objects. I cast on this shawl last time that I was podcasting. This is a very simple garter shawl that I made, where you do increases on every row at the sides and every second row at the center, and it's just knit with knit stitches, so it becomes garter. And this was because I needed a break from cabling and something simple in between this fairisle. So this is a one skein shawl, and this is all I have left. This color is called Alpida, and it's a yarn from the Athenian maker. She sent this yarn to me and a yarn for the stash along giveaway, because we're running a stash along for all of this year, where you just make whatever with something that you've had in your stash before 2021. And every now and then I'll draw some prizes, and I actually drew the prize for this round stash along, and I already contacted her. I screenshotted her name, but that's on the phone that I'm recording on, so I will write the name here, and please get in contact with me, and you'll be receiving the first stash along prize. If you want to join, you can use the hashtag stash along on Instagram or our group on Ravelry. There are links below. And there will be more prizes. I'll probably draw another one this summer. So the more times you enter, the higher the chances of winning. And yes, I really love this shawl. She prides herself on using cruelty-free yarn, and she also plant dyes her yarn. And I just loved this color. It's a lovely summer and spring shawl. It's very airy. You know, you can see through it. But I think it's just gonna be great for those kind of chilly evenings in the summer and spring, when it's not windy, but you just want a little bit of extra warmth either on your chest or your back. So yeah, really happy with this one. I finished it off with a thin I-cord edge, and that's why only on the lower part. So the upper part has this kind of edge from doing the increases, which are made using yarn overs. And then there's the I-cord on the bottom. And yeah, this is all I had left. I'd rather have a little bit left than do almost all of the I-cord and then run out, because that has happened before and it's not fun, because I'm not a huge fan of knitting I-cords because it takes a bit longer, but I do really enjoy the result of how it looks. It's a nice finishing touch. So yes, that was one finished object. And I have another finished object. Last time I showed these slippers that I felted, and I put them on my feet after felting it a few times. And now they fit my feet perfectly. They're double layer, super warm. And I have a lot of yarn left because I bought this yarn at an outlet. These were kind of imperfect skeins. And the yarn is called Tove, which is 100% Norwegian wool by Sandnes Garn. And let's see. So they come in 50 gram skeins, usually. These are not all 50 grams because they're imperfect skeins. And that's around 160 meters. And I held it double to get it thick enough for this pattern, because this you could use something like Alafos Loopy, some thicker, bulky yarn. So I finished mine, and I have knitted the ones for one of the men in my family, a size 45, 46 European. So these are quite large, but as you can see, they're not felted yet. So by felting it, it's gonna shrink up a bit. And I thought I was gonna have a lot of yarn left, but this is all I have left in the gray. So that's not gonna be enough for another pair of gray slippers, but maybe I can make some striped ones or just use it for some leftover project. Yes, at the end I will tell you how to make these, but I have more things to show first. So I have released another pattern after the wishes of some of the viewers. So these are my Rustic cable socks. It's knit top down with a 1x1 rib, and then there is a special heel construction, which is a modified version of the one my grandmother has taught me. It's quite an interesting heel construction, and there's a video link in the pattern that shows you the most difficult part of it, which is, it's not really difficult, it's easier to see it than read it, but there's also written instructions. And there's a round toe, and on the top there are the Rustic cables. So there's a center cable and 2 cables on the side going down all the way until you reach the toe section. And this sample is knit in Briggs and Little Durasport, which is a non-superwash, and it bloomed beautifully when I washed it, and it's a really nice warm yarn for the feet. I did include on the Ravelry page other yarn suggestions that other testers used, and there's different kinds of non-superwash and also superwash, so there's something for everyone. But yes, really happy with this, and the testers said that it was a fun knit and that the heel fit really well. So if you're looking for something different to try, you could give this a go. You could also, of course, just use the cable part and then do whatever cuff, heel, and toe you prefer. That's, knitter's choice. All right, so yeah, Rustic cable socks. It's on Ravelry now if you're interested, and I'll put a link below as well. Yes, so that's not all. After finishing this, I felt like I deserved a little cast-on party. So I had a little cast-on party, also kind of to have a lot of different knits to choose from when I go on vacation. And I bought this lovely book from Lane magazine, which is the 52 weeks of shawls. I got the 52 weeks of socks recently, and then right after I saw that they were making this book, and I had to get my hands on it. It's just such a beautiful book. And I'm really happy that I bought this because honestly there are so many beautiful shawls in here that I want to make. And I cast on one already, and I was thinking I could show you some of my favorite shawls if you're interested, and if not, you can fast forward if you like. So there are 52 shawls in here, and that is a lot. And most of them I could knit. I see myself knitting them. But there are some specially that I would like to make, and I'll try and show you without showing the pattern. So there is this lovely one with stripes of a contrast color, which I think is gorgeous, and that's the one called Ruff, R-U-F. It's beautiful. And there are just so many beautiful ones, but I can't show them all. But I wanted to show one which I absolutely love, that I want to make. Sorry if the pages are making lots of noises, but what can I do? You can mute me if you like. Because there was one colorwork, I think maybe it uses mosaic, I'm not sure. Where is it? There. The shawl that is called Drops of Memory. Let's see if I can show. And the model is just stunning as well. Look at her. Isn't that just gorgeous? I want it in the exact same colors. This uses Swanky Sock by Magpie Fibers, but I'm sure I have something in my stash that I could use for it instead. Just want to look at all these stunning patterns. There are so many to choose from. Yeah, so if you're a person who likes shawls, I'm more of a sweater person, but it is nice to have some shawls, and there's just so many stunning ones. So I looked through it, and I had recently received yarn from Uniko Yarns. She sent me a fingering weight yarn and a silk mohair. And then I saw this pattern in the book. This is called Windgate, and it's just a gigantic shawl that uses 3 skeins of a, what's it called? It's Corriedale sock twist. It's 400 meters, so it's basically a fingering weight if you look at the meterage per 100 grams. And it also uses 3 skeins of kid mohair, which has 420 meters per 50 grams. So that was kind of exactly a perfect fit to the yarn that I had. So I cast on, of course. So these are the 2 lovely yarns that I got from Uniko Yarns. So the fingering weight one is her 100% Peruvian Highland wool. It's non-superwash, and that's 420 in the color caramel. And the kid mohair is 72% kid mohair, 28% silk, and it's 420 meters per 50 grams. So pretty much perfect for this shawl. So I cast on, and I've almost used up, as you see, the first skein of each color, or each yarn, and I have 2 left of each. And you start at the white point. So I'm making my way, and I just think this is so squishy and comforting and meditative to knit. It's really not a difficult thing to make. It might look like it's difficult to get these shapes, but it's really not. I really enjoy knitting on it, and I think having this and being able to stretch it to make it even bigger, to wrap around and just feel comforted is really nice. And it's soft and warm and squishy and all things good. So this is something that I've been working on quite a bit and really enjoying it. Really like this one. And I cast on a t-shirt by Witre design. This is, I believe this pattern is called cropped western tee. I'll put it here. If it's right or wrong, I'll put it here. So yes, this is a t-shirt. It's knit bottom up, and it has a very short ribbed edge, which is kind of folding up on itself. So I'm hoping that when I wash and block it, or maybe steam block it with an iron, I'll get it to lie as it's supposed to. And yeah, so this is the front and this is the back, so it's lower in the back. And I'm using yarn from my knitcrate box, because I'm an affiliate member with knitcrate. This is the first box that I've gotten, the February box. There is some problem with shipping to Norway from knitcrate with COVID and everything, so I'm still waiting on the other ones. But this is Odin Wool's Calm in the color Pillow, and it's 80% wool, 10% silk, and 10% mohair. It's a DK weight, so it's 211 meters per 100 grams. And it's made in Peru. So I had 2 skeins of this, and this pattern is supposed to be knit in a DK cotton weight, but I just thought that this would be so lovely. First, a light gray t-shirt. For cold Norway, it's nice to have a bit of wool, and the silk makes it a bit cooler, and I can feel that when I touch it. This is all I have left of the first skein, but according to the pattern, 200 grams should be enough for the small size. So yeah, I'm hoping that that's not a lie. It should be enough. However, when I'm looking at it, I'm kind of wondering if I'm almost running out of one skein, how I'm gonna get a t-shirt out of this, but we shall see. I'll keep you updated. If anything, if I run out, I'll just find a contrast DK weight, and then the top part of the t-shirt will have a contrast color, and that could be cool too. So yes, and in this lovely basket, I'll call it a basket, it's a purse, a bag, a basket, a sachet, I don't know, is a birthday gift that I got from the store Beautiful Knitters in London, which I visited just before the pandemic broke out. And she has made this beautiful bag called I Survived 2020 Thanks to Knitting, and it also has a little pin. And this is so true. I imagine I'm not the only one who has gotten a lot of comfort and peace through knitting in the past year. So she'll probably need to make one for 2021 as well, because knitting really helps staying calm and knitting through the stress. And inside it, I'm keeping a pair of socks that my grandmother made for me. This is the pattern that she has made for all of the family members for generations. And she has this worn out piece of paper. I think she found it in a magazine like 30-40 years ago. And yeah, she knits it up for everyone, and I really wanted to learn how to knit it. So I am knitting my first pair of these socks, and this lovely mustardy yellow and white. I gravitate towards these warmer colors. She gravitates more towards the blue, but I think these are really pretty. And on my feet, I feel like on your feet you can wear all kinds of crazy colors, even though you prefer, like I prefer warm tones usually on garments, but I love these on the feet and they're super cozy and nice. So I made the first sock and I made it a bit too small. The pattern comes in just one size for female, one size for male. But you know, you could modify it. Once I've knitted it once, I know how I could modify it. I could add extra stitches on the side to make it wider. And then, you know, it's a kind of an afterthought heel. So what you could do is you could move the afterthought heel further up on the leg to make the foot longer. So I might do that for another pair and then gift these ones. So I finished one and I'm working on the second one. So here I'll put in the afterthought heel. And I had to do some research to see if I could find what this pattern is called, because her paper is wearing very, very thin. So if it disintegrates completely, it would be nice to be able to find this pattern for her online. So I did some research and I believe these socks are called russesokker by Rauma. And it's a charted pattern, so you could just follow the chart and yeah. It's a fun knit. It's not as difficult as it looks like because this kind of repeats. So I kind of just read the sock itself to see what's going to be the next line. So I kind of read my own color work and I find that easier and faster than looking at a chart. So this is my chart, kind of. So yeah, almost finished these. Really happy with them. Whoever receives them better be happy because I would like to have these myself. So maybe I'll have to make another pair. Yes. Oh yeah, because I did visit my grandma since last time. So that's why I got these and I cast on this myself. And this is all the yarn I have left. So one skein of each color is enough for a pair for the female size, and I think my grandma uses one skein each for the male size as well. This is called Silja, and it's a commercial brand that they sell at a store here called Sparköp, and it's my grandmother's go-to yarn for socks. And yeah, really happy with it. Probably gonna make more, but shift the heel further up on the leg to have a bigger foot. I also knit quite a bit more tight than my grandmother. You can see here her sock comes out compared to mine, so I definitely knit a bit tighter. So yeah, she knits on DPNs, I knit on a small circular or magic loop. I think I actually used magic loop for these because I didn't have the small circular with me when I went to visit her. So yes, almost finished work in project. Work in progress. And I cast on more. This has been on my needles for a while. These socks for the cabin, because I just knit on them if I have some time on call at work, if it's calm. And as you can see, haven't made a lot of progress. But I've started decreases on the heel. The intention is to pull this leg down. So it's getting there. So I have to do the heel closure soon and the foot. And I closed the toe prematurely, so this is actually a bit too small for me. So I might unpick it and knit it a bit longer. Or I'll have to gift these away as well. We shall see. So that, and I cast on Saturday, because going to my grandmother's house, I passed by Hillesvåg, which is a Norwegian yarn producer who, it's a very old mill, and they have an outlet store as well as the factory. So they dye all their yarns themselves. They spin some of their yarns, and then some of the yarns are spun elsewhere, just because the production has gotten so big for this little old mill. And I just couldn't help myself. I had to go there. I've been wanting to go there for the past 2 years, and I finally got to. So I went a bit overboard with the stash acquisitions, but that's okay. I've been wanting to knit a sweater by Espace tricot for a very long time, which is called the Cedar point. It's knit in Finull and Shibui silk cloud, which is a silk mohair. So it's a fingering plus a silk mohair. And when I was there, I saw this yarn, which was on sale. This is a very black colored yarn. Not a blue black, just a black, like a black hole. The perfect black, if you ask me. This yarn is called Varde, and I hadn't tried this before because I wanted to get some yarns from them that I hadn't tried. And this yarn, Varde, is 100% Norwegian pelt wool. So if you've followed me for a while, you know that Tinde by hillesvåg is my favorite yarn. It's 100% Norwegian pelt wool. Varde is the same yarn or the same fiber content, but it's thicker. So this one has 200 meters per 100 grams, and their suggested gauge is 18 stitches per 10 centimeters. And I saw this, and I saw the gauge, and I keep all my patterns on my phone that I own and that I've bought. I keep the PDFs in the iBooks app. If you have an iPhone, you might have this. So I can easily look through all my patterns if I'm at a yarn store to find yarn for the project or project for the yarn that I'm looking at. So I saw that this yarn had the same gauge as the Cedar Point sweater by Espace Tricot. And I've been wanting to cast this Cedar Point sweater on for a very long time. So I had to get this. I got 5 skeins of this, which should be enough for this sweater. And then they didn't have a beige color in the Varde because the Norwegian pelt wool is it's a naturally gray yarn. So they had this natural gray. This is I think this is an undyed natural gray color. This is Varde. So I would have needed 2 of this. But when I came home, I saw that I had Finull in my stash, some leftovers. And I had this leftover as well from a previous project. This is the concept silk mohair from Catia, which I got when I lived in Poland. And this is a yarn made in Italy. So I decided to use this for the sweater and use some of my stash. You know, because I am trying to knit from stash, even though I seem to be acquiring triple the amount of what I'm actually knitting from stash. But at least I'm trying. So yeah, I cast this on and it knit up super quickly. It feels really nice. I just think this patterning with the 1x1, it's a free pattern, by the way, Cedar Point by Espace Tricot. They have stunning patterns. They're all free, and they used to have a podcast. They haven't recorded the past year. I really miss their podcast. I think they're great. But yes, this is a free pattern by them, and it's gonna have this light section at the cuffs of the arms with these stripes as well. And I haven't divided for the arms and body yet, but I think I will. There's supposed to be a certain amount of rows, I think like 11 between increases in this black section, but I think I only knit 9 rows between, and this last one I think I do 3 instead of 8, because I'm not a fan of when the arms and body is split down at the elbow like a big bat wing or whatever you call it. I'm not a fan of that. I like to be able to put jackets outside my sweaters for layering because of where I live, and it's very rare that I can just wear a sweater and that's gonna be like the perfect temperature. That's either too warm in the summer or too cold the rest of the year. So that's a modification I'm gonna be making. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I am looking forward to having it finished. I think it's gonna look quite chic and nice. So that's something that I am knitting on. And maybe I can do the explanation of how to... No, I'm going to finish doing up the acquisitions and then I'm going to do the slipper. So if you can just skip ahead if you don't want to see more yarn. But I think if you're here, you enjoy seeing yarn as much as I do. Okay, so at hillesvåg, I saw this yarn. I've knitted with this yarn before. This is their fjord sock base. And I know from experience now that it grows a bit after washing. So I'm going to keep that in mind when I knit with it again. But I saw these colors and it made me so happy. And these, I think, if I'm going to be knitting some socks this summer, probably I will knit in these colors. And from my experience, one skein was enough for a pair of socks for me, even though the man who sold it to me at the time said I needed 2. That was a lie. I only needed 1. I still had leftovers. So I got 3 different, so maybe I'll do some striped socks, colorwork socks, or just plain socks. I have the 52 weeks of socks book, so maybe I can make something from there, or maybe I'll just do what I usually do and make something up as I go. So I really enjoyed these colors. This is the color cognac brown, dark green, and ochre yellow. And yeah, really like these colors. And then I saw this yarn brand. It's called Ask. And I know that a lot of Norwegian designers have knitted garments in this before. I've never tried it. It's 100% Norwegian wool. They don't specify which sheep breed, but it's 100% Norwegian wool, except for a very few yarns. They're all Norwegian yarns to that mill. In the second floor, they keep a few yarns that are not from Norway and not spun in Norway, but everything downstairs is Norwegian. So you kind of know what you're getting. And there are so many stunning colorways in this Ask. And it's 315 meters per 100 grams. So maybe you could call this a sport weight yarn. So I got these 2 contrast colorways for this base. So I'm thinking of doing some color work project in the future. This would be enough for the Nordiska by Caitlin Hunter, which I have in my queue. So maybe I'll be making that. The green is called dark olive green. It's blowing out a bit, but it's like a dark olive green. And the rest colorway is called cognac brown. So these are both called cognac brown. Yeah, these are both called cognac brown, but they are different yarn bases. Sock yarn and husk. This is my favorite. So yeah, that's enough for a sweater. And there were so many other lovely colorways in that, so I got this combo as well. And this is more similar to the colors that she actually uses in her pattern. This is charcoal gray and yellow brown. They call this yellow brown. But yeah, I think this is gorgeous. It looks a bit gold to me, like a muddy gold. So yes, beautiful, beautiful yarn babies. And what I really like about the hillesvåg is that it's great quality yarn. It's quite durable. You can wear it for generations probably. And it's for 100% wool, it's quite affordable. Yeah. So I did check before this episode that you can get hillesvåg yarns in the UK and in Canada for sure. And if you can get it in Canada, they can probably ship to the US, and probably you can find it somewhere in the US as well. I didn't do that much research, but you can get it around the world. So yeah, no though, I'm not done. I might have a yarn hoarding issue, but we're not talking about that. No. So if you followed me, you know that I've been carding up some fiber from the farm that I used to live at, and one of the fibers was wild sheep, and I saw that hillesvåg had yarn from wild sheep. It smells like my yarn or my fiber. So they had I think 3 or 4 different yarn thicknesses made from the wild sheep, and the wild sheep has quite long straight fibers. So I am thinking they would be good for socks because of that long, strong fiber. So what I was going to do is I got a very thin one that is 700 meters by 100 grams. So it's a lace weight. And then I got 2 of 350 meters. So like a sock kind of. And what I'm thinking is I'll pair them together, because this is half the thickness and twice the length. I'll pair them together and make some wild sheep socks. And if they hold up well, then I'm going to spin up my fiber with the same intent. And if it doesn't hold up well, maybe I'll try and spin it a bit thicker and make a rug. I'm not sure, because the wild sheep is definitely not a soft fiber. It is quite scratchy. It's going to be super warm, but it's not something I would want on my neck. It's not that bad, but it's quite prickly, because these long fibers, they do stand out a bit and might prickle your skin. So you see, this is quite a lot thinner than the other one. But yes. So I'm excited to try that out. I might save this for the winter. And I wanted to get the Tinde in the natural grey, because the undyed natural grey, because I've knitted quite a few sweaters with it, and I find that the undyed one is a lot softer than the dyed processed ones. But they didn't have any. But I saw this gorgeous brown color. Let's see if I can get it to not blow out as much. Nope. No, I can't. Okay, so it's a very nice chocolatey brown. And I got 2, 4, 6, 7 of these, because what I want to do is make a dress. I want to make a wool dress that I will make top down, and I may or may not do decreases and waist shaping. I haven't decided yet. This color is called dark brown, by the way. It's a very chocolatey brown, I'd say it's warm brown. It's quite dark though. So that's my intent with this. And I was gonna cast it on, but then I cast on the shawl and the sweater, and I'm making the socks and the t-shirt. So maybe I'll save this brown dress for the fall, because I'm not sure if I finish it for the summer, if I will wear it as much. But if I finish it for the fall, I'll probably start wearing it straight away, and it will get a lot of use and love and not be forgotten. So yes, I think I might save this for the fall and then do maybe this color combination for the summer for a colorwork sweater. But right now I'm taking a break from colorwork after finishing this monster right here. So we shall see. Oh, and more yarn. They had this in the store upstairs. I found it randomly, and they only had these 4, but they're quite thick. And they had no label. So yeah, they had no label, and I just had to get them because these are the softest unspun yarn cakes I have ever felt. I am knitting the Witre shawl by Melody Hoffman in the Plöttelopi by Espace, and I got new Tiden yarn in the March collection, which is also stunning. This is the softest, however, I have felt, and I loved this natural colored white with some little gray aspects in it, and this charcoal one. I think this would make a great colored sweater. I'm kind of envisioning making this, but with the opposite colors, but I think I'll finish this first and see how I like the fit, and then I can see. But I think if I were to hold this double, that would meet gauge for that one. But we shall see. I'm also wanting to do one of the sweaters by Melody Hoffman that uses new Tiden with silk mohair, but I might use the new Tiden for that, or I could also use this. I think because of how big these are, it's gonna be enough for a sweater, no problem. And yes, the last acquisition was something that came in the mail right after the last episode, and I couldn't for the life of me remember ordering this yarn. I think what I found out is that I must have ordered this on one of my first on-call shifts in the middle of the night, where I think I felt a little bit sorry for myself. I was quite exhausted, and I saw this scrolling through Instagram, and I must have bought it. I didn't think I had, but I must have. It was a great surprise. I'm really excited to try this on. My friend from Crooks Fibers has recently made a sweater in this yarn, the Wool and Honey sweater. You should check it out. And you could check out Crooks Fibers on Instagram. She has a photo of her version, and she made it in this lovely, stunning colorway. So the yarn that I bought for myself apparently is from a company called Wild in the Woods. It's Canadian. It's hand dyed in small batches on Vancouver Island. Local, sustainable, natural, 100% wool, fingering weight, until I shipped it across the world. So this color is called Roots, and I got 4 of them. Should be enough for a sweater for me. And just, let's see if, this is more accurate. It's a very warm, stunning, red, orangey color. It's so pretty. And it smells like sheep. And some, lavender because there was a lavender sachet in the package. So isn't this just pretty? I think the base is called Folklore. I also got one of these skeins, which is called Forest Floor. And I think what I was thinking when I ordered this is that I love both the colors, but it would be too expensive to get 2 sweater quantities. So I went for a sweater quantity in the Roots colorway because it's everything that I love. And then I really thought the Forest Floor was interesting. It's a brown color. It really does look like the forest floor of a pine forest with like the dirt, and it's beautiful. So what I was thinking, getting to the point, is that I will use this in one of my future non-superwash shawls, and maybe I can use it in one of the shawls from my new book. We shall see. I only have one skein, and it's 400 yards, so if there is something in there that uses one skein with 400 yards together with something else, because I do want the huge shawl. I prefer huge shawls that I can wrap myself in. Basically, I want blankets, but I call them shawls. So yeah, that's the plan for this gorgeous yarn. So those were all of my acquisitions, and I think those are enough acquisitions. So I will find the pattern for the slippers so I can translate how to make them. So if you're interested, that's coming right up. Alright, so the pattern is called Doble Tøfler by Sandnes Garn, and it's a free pattern, and it comes in sizes from, and this is European shoe sizes. It comes in 25 to 26, 27 to 28, 29 to 30, 31 to 32, 33 to 34, 36 to 37, 38, 39, 40, 42, 44, 46. So I'll put everything in brackets below so that you can see how many ever stitches or rows they're talking about for the different sizes. Okay, so you cast on with a yarn where 50 grams equals 70 meters. That's kind of what they use. I think it would be a bulky, you could probably use Ala Foslupi or something similar, bulky yarn. It's not that important because you will be felting it, so you could felt it more or less depending on the size that you end with. Alright, so they use 5.5 millimeter needles for this pattern, and the gauge is 15 stitches per 10 centimeters. So then they tell you to cast on this many stitches, and they on 5.5 millimeter needles, and join in the round and knit for this many rows in the round. And then they tell you to basically divide, I think it's almost like half of the stitches, but they tell you to put this many stitches on hold, and then to add, so you put half of them on hold, because you have now knitted this part right here, and then they tell you to put these stitches on hold, and then to create a certain amount of stitches here so that the remaining stitches can be knit in the round with these extra stitches. And they tell you to knit a certain amount of rows, and then to knit 2 together on each side of those extra stitches you created, so that you knit together one old stitch and a new stitch at each join. So you do that once, and then you knit a certain amount of rows, and you repeat that decrease on each side. And then you knit a certain amount of rows, and then they tell you to decrease for the toe by knitting together at 4 points with do you have a stitch in between? Yeah, so if you divide it evenly on two needles, or however you knit, then you knit 1, 2 together to the other side. When there's 3 stitches left, knit 2 together, knit 1, and repeat that on the other side. They do the decreases on every row until you have 24 stitches left. Then they knit 2 together throughout the round, and then they knit 1 round without decreases, and then they do 4 decreases. So I just did that at the ends, and then you pull the yarn through the remaining stitches, and you have your first foot, and you do the exact same for the second one, and then you sew your cast on together. So you can put one foot into the other, like so. And you throw it in the machine to felt it. When you do that, you don't have them inside, you throw it in like this. I used a regular cycle with 60 degrees and regular soap, and I just checked on it every now and then until it felt that it was going to be snug on the foot, and then I put it on the foot to kind of shape it. So I'm going to have to wait until I'm with the person receiving this until I do that, because I do want to have that perfect fit tailored for the foot. So I hope that was understandable. It's a free pattern. You can find it online as Doble Tøfler number 3 by Sandnes Garn. And all the numbers are there. It's not a lot of text, so you could Google translate it as well if I didn't make sense. But I thought I was just gonna try and translate it for you, if that was helpful. So yeah, on the last note, I want to give a shout out to 2 of the podcasts that I've been enjoying for the past week. The first one is a new podcaster, the Woolly Witchcraft. She's from Glasgow, and she is just so lovely. She test knitted my Rustic cable socks, and she was so excited about it. It made me really excited about it. And I just feel so cozy watching her podcast. She only started knitting in October, which is insane. She's very talented, and just her accent makes me relax and feel cozy. So you should check her out, the Woolly Witchcraft. And the second podcast is Needles at the Ready, which is a married couple they're from the US, Kevin and Ray. They kind of remind me, the way they podcast reminds me a little bit about the Grocery Girls, if you know them. They just have a really nice canter when they talk about their lives and their knitting, and they just seem like a really cool couple. So you should check them out. And they make a lot of socks. I really enjoy that. I use a lot of non-superwash. They use a lot of superwash, and I think Kevin is also dyeing yarn, which is really cool. And maybe I can be as cool as them one day and dye my own yarn. Add to the endless knitting hobbies. But yeah, so I think that was all for this time. I think it's enough for this time. And maybe the next episode will be recorded from the cabin, and then maybe we can do a little sit and knit with me section again. Because I feel like, when I've recorded for an hour already, I'll leave the knitting for next time. And probably there's not going to be a lot of stash acquisitions then, because I have enough to keep me warm and busy for a while. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you get a lot of knitting done, that summer is around the corner for you, and that brings you some comfort. And I will see you soon. Bye.